Right, so last week I discussed demons and how they are actually divine intelligences or tutelary spirits, as opposed to the Christian Western mindset of them being evil and trying to always do you harm. But now there is the opposite to that. So we do get the spirits that are trying to cause you harm, called the others. And this doesn't just fit into demonolatry exclusively, it fits into basically every magical path, or occult path, witchcraft, whatever path you're on. So this is going to be pretty good for everybody, I think. So let's get into the intro first. Okay, so as I mentioned last week and mentioned previously in other videos, we have the demons who are, they're not evil. They're not trying to do you harm. They don't want to do you harm. If you harm them, they probably will because, you know, tit for tat really. But we do have spirits which we call the others. These are astral parasites, often called astral parasites in other traditions and paths. They're the oogie boogies. They are the spirits that will come along and feed off fear. That's what they really like. So they will try and create fear in you in order to get more food. And these are the ones you need to look out for, and the ones that you actually really need to avoid. And as I said in the intro just now, this isn't exclusive to demonolatry. The term others, I've found, is something that demonolators use, but there is this type of spirit, this kind of spirit in all traditions and paths. And these are the really are the ones you want to look out for. And it's why we have to exercise discernment and why we have to figure out the difference between all the different spirits, so that when one of these others pops up, we know what to do, we know who they are, what they're after, and then we can just get rid of them. So these others tend to pop up when we are doing something like invoking a demon, invoking a spirit, invoking a god, a goddess, whatever it is. And what they'll do, they'll come along, and this, especially for the beginner. Later on, when you become a bit more, a bit more practiced, you'll instantly be able to recognize them. So they tend to kind of stay away because they can't be bothered. It's not worth their while. But especially in the beginning, they'll come along and they'll act as if they are that spirit, that god, that goddess, whatever you are actually evoking, invoking, whichever tradition you're working with. In demonolatry, we prefer not to use the word evoke because it has negative connotations of trapping and binding. So we talk about invoking, bringing the spirit into your space. And when we are doing that, as I say, quite often these others will come along, they will act like that spirit that you are trying to communicate with and trying to learn from. And they'll lead you along for quite a while. And if you allow them, they will attach to you and it becomes obsession, and then it becomes a bit more difficult to actually get rid of. But you can instantly recognize these others compared to the demons, especially if you have successfully communicated with a demon. A demon will not make you feel drained, will not make you feel anxious, depressed, fearful. None of those negative side effects actually happen when you're actually working with a demon. It does happen when you're working with an other, or when one actually comes along, poses as a demon or a god, goddess, etc. I'm just going to carry on saying demon because that's the term I prefer to use. So when an other comes along, you may start feeling drained of energy. You may have incidents, especially after the working itself, because they tend to stick around. So you'll probably find that things start happening that make you fearful. You may start feeling depressed and anxious. And if you do start actually working with this spirit, this other, they may ask you to do things which are not okay. They may ask you to harm yourself. They may ask you to harm others. They may try and control you or your life. And if you haven't discerned yet between the other and a demon, then you will probably go along with it thinking that it is a demon, but it's not. This is where discernment becomes very, very important. So what do you do if one of these others comes along? It's very simple. You tell it to piss off. Simple as that. If it doesn't, then you can use banishing. You can draw a banishing pentagram of the earth, for instance, and just push it, project it towards the spirit, and it will be banished. Another good reason why it's also good to actually practice banishing rites, especially in the beginning, so that you understand how the banishing works, how the energy moves, how it feels. So when you do draw a banishing pentagram of the earth and you push it, you know that it's actually doing its job and it's doing its work. So that's a very easy way to actually get rid of these spirits. Usually if you just tell them to piss off because you know that they're what they are and what they're actually after, they will just go anyway. Now, some of these others do come in the form of thought forms. So it may not be a spirit that's actually, completely independent, coming out from nowhere and just coming in and popping up in your life. It could be a thought form, and a lot of people actually create these thought forms, especially the ones that are fear-based. You may have a person in your life that you are fearful of. You may just be fearful and depressed generally, and what happens quite often is that you will actually create a thought form which is kind of like a projection of that fear. And that thought form becomes stronger and stronger because you're afraid of something. And so it just keeps feeding the thought form. Then what usually happens is the thought form will then start attacking. It will attack in order to create more fear, of which it can then feed off and grow stronger and stronger and stronger. And these thought forms are very similar to the others. If you are in a situation where you are basically constantly afraid of something, these others will be attracted to that fear. So they'll come along, and if you haven't got protection in place, then it's very easy for them to actually come through and start attaching to you, attacking you, and therefore creating more fear, which again feeds them. So again, important to actually get protections in place. We did a Black Hat Chat live a few weeks back where we spoke about cleansing and protection. So there's some great information in that. If you want to go check it out, I'll put a little linky up the top here. So there are three main things here. One is protection, so that any wandering other astral parasite that is coming past and you may be in a fearful situation will then not be able to actually attach to you or attack you or anything like that. So protection is one. The second is learning how to banish, just in case you get into a situation where you are encountered with an other and it's a bit persistent. So learn banishing just so you can make sure you got rid of it. And thirdly is discernment. You do learn discernment as you go along. It becomes a lot easier. And as I say, the easiest way to actually determine between a demon and an other is that a demon will not make you feel depressed, anxious. It won't make you feel afraid. It won't tell you to hurt yourself or hurt others. A demon will not try and control your life. They are there to guide, help, tutor, teach, and things like that. The other, on the other hand, will. They will make you feel depressed, anxious, afraid, try and control your life, and tell you to harm yourself and harm others. So this is the easiest way to actually discern between the two. If you do find that you have attracted an other and it's attached to you, then the best way to actually get rid of it is to firstly reject it. You don't want it around. Don't start listening to its lies, and then just cleanse. You can do a cleansing bath. You can do some banishing. Just general cleansing. Make sure your environment's cleaned and tidy, so that it doesn't. So that if your environment's clean and tidy, it's going to start shifting and mirroring the rest of you. So your environment's clean, your body's clean, your mind's clean, your spirit's clean. So, it generally starts snowballing and finding its way into other aspects of your life. If your environment is messy, tidy, dirty, it's going to be the same thing with you, your body, mind, and spirit. You're going to have that unclean spirit, and you need to then cleanse. So start with the environment, your kitchen, your house. Tidy and clean that up, and then that will actually flow through into the rest of your life. Then take cleansing baths, do banishing rituals. You can do energy work, like an energy-based movement meditation, qigong, yoga, something like that, just to make sure the energy is flowing properly. And when the energy is flowing properly, it tends to also clean out and cleanse. So make sure you've got all of those things in place and everything's constantly moving properly. And that makes it more difficult for these others to actually attach to you. If you are in that constant state of the energy flowing properly, and you are, your house and your environment is clean, so your spirit's clean, and you do cleansing baths, it's almost impossible for an other to attach. So you're pretty good there. But as I say, if they do manage to do it, manage to actually get through and attach, then just do some cleansing, a bath, clean up your space, do some energy work, and just get rid of it. But the main thing there is, if it goes too far, you need to actually stop it from actually influencing you. It can be a bit difficult, especially if it's actually become an obsession, because at some point you switch over to thinking that you need the spirit, and that is completely wrong, completely false. You definitely don't need the spirit. All you need is you. And as I say, if it's starting to control your life and telling you what to do and telling you who to actually have in your life and things like that, then you've got to get rid of it. So anyway, watch out for the others. You don't want them in your life. You don't want to work with them. They just need to piss off. Simple as that. And hopefully that helps. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments. If you like my content, please like, share, give me a comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Lots more to come, and lots of interesting stuff to follow. So I will see you in the Black Hat chat on Friday if you're there. Otherwise, you can watch it afterwards. We promise we will do the shape-shifting live this week. Just things have been coming up the past couple of weeks, and it's been unavoidable. So definitely doing the shape-shifting live this Friday at 4 p.m. GMT on the Black Hat Chat live show on this channel and on Twitch. And so hopefully I'll see you there. You can ask any questions you want to in the live chat. And cool. Cheers.